welcome back to Petal Perspectives. My name is Cher, and I'm the co-founder of Purple Lotus, where we make finding a therapist 10 times faster. Today we will be interviewing Karn Sahota from Sher Pride. Hi Karn, could you please introduce yourself and share a little about who you are and the work that feels meaningful to you today?
My name is Karn Sahota. I am the outreach manager for Sher Pride, formerly known as Share Vancouver, which is a charity and a registered charity and nonprofit that operates primarily in Surrey. But we do have programming and different groups and services that we offer to everyone across BC and the country, really, through our virtual services as well. And I think the thing that really makes me really happy to be involved with the organization is just the fact that we are really creating a lot of change and a lot of visibility for many people who have often felt like they've been on the sidelines or they have not had the opportunity to be, seen, especially people coming from, that intersectionality of being BIPOC, specifically South Asian, and with their queer identity, many people I know have had to choose. So I think it's really great to come to different Pride events, be out there in the community to show people that you can be multiple things and have that intersection that really matters to you. And you don't have to choose. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that introduction. And I think I'd be curious to also learn, looking back on your own personal journey, are there experiences, people, or moments that help shape the person you become today?
I think for any like queer person, there's always that kind of a moment when they really realized they realize first of all that they're queer, but also there's another moment when they're in the community doing the work that there's a moment when that sparks and they realize that it's something that you wanted to do in community. So I went into social work earlier on, I did my bachelor's, and I did practicum with Cher back when we were just coming out of COVID, and Cher was not nearly as big or as in broad strokes what it is today. And it was quite an amazing journey from the very beginning because I was given so much flexibility to be able to help develop and to develop different programming, to meet with different who would become my team members, basically all of us kind of coming together, different individuals, and creating a structure, creating a really strong foundation for this organization. And I think the person who I owe a lot of that to is definitely Amr Sangha, who is the founder of Sher Pride, giving me kind of a lot of that flexibility, a lot of that leeway and that freedom to just take things wherever I saw fit, and kind of giving me that opportunity and that freedom to do it, but also with like my collaborators and everyone who I've worked with at Share over the years, like just letting me explore and learn and grow, because I think I was really hesitant earlier on, not knowing what I was going to do with social work, and I was like, I don't know if I chose the right path. But then when I got with practicum with Share, I was able to start to actually put pieces together and really get involved in community building. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Karn, for listeners who may not be familiar, can you tell us more about Share Pride and the community it serves?
So, Sher Pride was founded back in 2008 under the name of Share Vancouver. And it really just started as a series of it was basically just like a social group, essentially. And that social group, that needing for connection between members of the community has now grown into a not only a registered charity, but also a registered nonprofit. So we have here support programs that we do in Surrey, in New West. We also now have one in White Rock that we're piloting, as well as doing different types of community events. So we had a block party that we did in South Vancouver last year. We're looking to do the same thing again, hopefully with once funding has been approved. And there's a lot of different other things we do. So we have a podcast as well called Share Vancouver Podcast. We have a great following on social media. We do the social justice film festival called the Sundar Prize, which has now been around for a couple of years and is growing every year, which brings so much local talent and people who are wanting to be involved in film, and giving them that space within the city of Surrey that really helps to boost, the economy here locally. And just so many more different things, like our youth award, for example, that I help coordinate every year. So people who are 16 to 30 can apply. It's from coast to coast to coast. And the only eligibility requirement is that you have to do work within the queer community. and you have to be 16 to 30. There is no other requirement of base, like you can be anyone, you can be straight, gay, bi, a transgender individual, gender fluid, doesn't matter, and doesn't matter your racial background, which is really, I think, which is really cool because there's many people who I meet, especially at Pride events, like I just had Kelowna Pride today, and there's many people who are really interested in that because they didn't know that they could be, they can be eligible for things like that to like help further their career or further their education, or it really does make a great, it's a little star on your resume that people can use further, right? So I think those types of things really help develop young professionals and people who want to go into community building too.
That's awesome. Those are such incredible opportunities for people who might be interested in filmmaking as well as getting more in touch with community. So that's awesome for sharing. And I'm also curious, you kind of touched upon this earlier, but was there a moment or a realization that helped you see that there was a need for an organization like Share Pride?
I think the need for Sher Pride has always kind of existed, especially within a community like ours, which is so diverse and it has so many different types of demographics within it. And the experiences that, for example, like the South Asian community faces within in relation to queerness are quite unique in terms of well, not super unique because a lot of Asian cultures, East Asian cultures have that stigmatization. With South Asian culture specifically, that stigmatization is not rooted in religion or it's not rooted in any type of, philosophical types of stuff. It's very much cultural. And, we did a research article back as well. It's in the Sick Research Journal. And we talked about that. We talked about where the stigmatization came from. And a lot of it was colonialism and how that kind of seeped into culture and that really stuck. And even in Canada today, as a country, we are much more accepting. I mean, there are hiccups, of course, with our neighbors to the south, but as a country in general, over the decades, we have been more progressive. Many communities are still in that same space where it's not even something that you can talk about or you're even allowed to bring up, let alone be someone openly, having a partner going to your religious place of worship or walking hand in hand with somebody on the street. It's not considered something that you're allowed to do, which is why many people tend to, and especially within the Metro Vancouver scheme of things, many people leave their home communities, such as Abbotsford, as Surrey, as Burnaby, and they move towards downtown Vancouver, for example, and they kind of live their queer life there. But when they have to come back at the end of the night, they kind of go back into the closet a little bit again. So I think that's the need for Share Pride to be around, to be in those spaces and to showcase and to show people by representation that you can be who you are, and we as an organization are here to support you in whatever way we can, whether that's social support, whether that's financial support, whether that is referring you or connecting you to other services better equipped for your situation.
Wonderful. Being queer and South Asian can sometimes involve navigating multiple identities, expectations, and experiences at once. From your perspective, what do you wish allies, therapists, social workers, and other helping professionals understood more deeply?
I think the main thing is to just understand that you can be multiple identities at once. I think for many professionals, just to understand that helping the community come to terms with accepting those identities is much more powerful. I think many people start to overlook that if you're going to be queer, you cannot be connected to any cultural thing. So that's why I really love organizations like Share. I love Pinoy Pride, for example, for people who are Filipino and queer and East Asian. And there's so many organizations like that that really help to bridge that gap, which I think many people overlook.
Exactly. People are complex. They can have multiple identities at once.
Definitely.
And you mentioned Share being like creating this amazing community, and you also mentioned Pinoy Pride also creating great community as well. And we often talk about, going to therapy as a source of support, but community can also play a powerful role, as you mentioned. So, what are some things community can offer that can feel different from or complementary to therapy?
I think community can offer so much. Our three groups our three groups that we have. So we have one monthly social and we have two more traditional support groups. And those spaces offer a safe space for people to connect with others who are going through a similar experience. I have heard from many people when they've attended like the monthly socials, for example, that they feel like they could be themselves in a safe space with other people who understand what they're going through. And even if they don't understand exactly what they're going through, they have similar experiences. Or you just come and you just let go and you're able to just meet with people, connect, because when you're in an environment where you have to be quote unquote on all the time, it's draining for oneself, especially if you're in a very homophobic environment. Coming into a space like that really does help you, I think, with your mental health in a way that counseling can't really help with, because counseling and therapy is great for one-on-one support, but I think community support is equally as important because you need that, you need those safety guards, you need that community, you need that kind of collective feeling of you're part of something bigger and you're not on a journey on your own. Because for many people, they might feel like they're on their own. For example, I was felt like I was on my own for so many years until I kind of got involved with Share. And it really does take a toll on you year after year after year, and you don't really understand how to make it, how to make sense of it all. So I think it really does have a profound impact on one's mental health.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think you might have noticed this as well, but like a lot of people say Vancouver has a loneliness epidemic. And
Hmm.
even around the
Yeah.
world, there's people who are constantly connected online and surrounded by other people, but many people still experience loneliness. So why
Yeah.
do you think genuine connection can feel so difficult to find?
I think it's a lack of spaces, definitely. I know in my postgraduate um work, I did a project on the lack of third places, those spaces where you can come to and just be yourself, be open and not be expected to, it's not like a you have to pay to be there. It's a place where you can just go and be yourself. There aren't many of those spaces left. And they're lessening, right? Because you have to purchase something to be in many of those spaces, or you have to buy a membership, or you have to participate in a certain activity. Aren't many spaces that are just there to just you can come in, hang out, talk to people, and just connect. And I think for people who are queer, especially people who are racialized and queer, um, there's a very deep, dark lack of those spaces. And I think for many people, it also comes down to um, sometimes there is a little bit of a discrimination as well within our own community. So those spaces really provide um, a safe way to connect with others, and you lessen that burden on yourself. And it gives you more confidence. Well, we have had people come into our programming and come to join our socials and come into like our peer support groups, and they have flourished, and they're like it's a complete 360 turn. They've gone from this very timid, shy person to this very confident, amazing person that's doing great things in the community, and that was because they were given a space to be themselves, and they slowly took those steps and advanced. And it's just great to see. It's really great to see those stories and those individuals.
Yeah, those third spaces and those moments with people within the third spaces can be very transformational, as you just mentioned. And what has belonging meant to you personally? And has your understanding of it changed over time?
I think belonging definitely has changed for me over time. I think that the term belonging means many things to many people. For me, it just meant that I had a place to go that felt like home. Um, and for many people, you don't really get that. And having a place like Share, it's a great space when you don't have that many spaces around you like that. So we operate mainly in the city of Surrey, and within the city of Surrey, there's not really many spaces that are very queer friendly. Like Surrey is going to be the largest city in British Columbia in a few years. And the fact that we don't really have a dedicated queer space that is there, open 7 days a week is quite a telling tale of the lack of community kind of connection that we have. So Share really is kind of we really are a very big catch-all for many individuals because we are one of the only operators in that city that kind of are have those pop-up queer spaces where people can come and enjoy and let loose and be free, um, and learn and connect. So I think that belonging is mainly just where you feel like you're home. And it's also the connections that you make that you can take outside of those spaces. So you make friends within those social circles that that are facilitated through an organization like Sher Pride, and you can take those connections and further them outside as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it's cool to see how your sense of belonging or your definition for belonging has changed over time. And I have one last question for you. So, if you could leave listeners with one message today, what would you want them to carry with them?
I think one thing I would definitely love to leave the listeners with is just to never assume, because assumptions are quite dangerous, especially regarding someone's background or someone's orientation. I'm not going to get into this too much here, but I'm sure as your viewers may know, there's been a lot of rising hate, especially towards like South Asians, for example, on social media as of late. And I see it all over, my Instagram. I'm not really on TikTok, but I see it on my Instagram. I see it on YouTube that the comments towards South Asians in general, or just racialized people in general within Canada, they're becoming quite grotesque. So I think it's really important for people to really not make assumptions about someone's identity or their background, because you don't know what's beyond the surface. And are all really we're all really in this together as people in the community. Because when we start to segregate one another and start to separate ourselves within one community, those become really large fractures that people who want to do harm will use to further those divisions. So I really would just like everyone to not make assumptions regarding anyone, and that everyone is just able to peacefully coexist. I know it's a very pie in the sky type of thinking, but I really think that if we all really just kind of took a minute to realize where we have our assumptions and where we have those judgments and stereotypes regarding maybe where someone is living, regarding where someone is from, regarding how someone chooses to articulate their opinions or use their hands when they talk, just to take a beat and just understand that we are all in it together for one common cause, and that common cause is to, be able to live freely and proudly in this beautiful country that we live in today.
That was such a powerful and important message. I got shivers at the end.
Well, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Karn. We are at the end of the podcast, and I really hope that you have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you so much, you as well.